Jennifer's husband, who runs a small photography class, starts to look nervous the day before Valentine's Day. While Jennifer wonders why, he comes back with a box of chocolates given by one of his students the next day. He suddenly gives her a grave look and asks for a divorce. She is taken aback and asks him for a reason. He says he's going to propose to the college girl who gave him the gift. She's astonished and goes to see the girl afterward. Then she learns the truth. What's going to happen to Jennifer's husband, who seems determined? My husband Charles wants a divorce. His reason is outrageous, so please listen. It was Valentine's Day a few days ago when he suddenly asked me to divorce him. I was perplexed because I never knew he had been thinking about it. A few days before Valentine's Day, he did mention something strange, though. He was a photographer by profession, and he ran a small class. It was supposed to be closed every Tuesday, which fell on Valentine's Day this year. He said he was holding a class.
I think some of the students might want to give me a gift.
He was dead serious. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. You might get nothing if you expect so much. I'll get you something, so why don't you be happy with it? I made a light-hearted joke.
I know for sure, so I'll have to hold a class.
He replied with unwavering determination. Do whatever you want then. I gave up. On Valentine's Day, he brought back a box of chocolates, which amazed me a little. You really got it. I'm glad you opened on your day off after all. Though your motive was questionable, I told you I'll get it this year. He seemed pleased. Well, I'm happy for you. I went along with him. He seemed to be cherishing the chocolate, so I asked him if he wasn't going to eat it.
It's too precious to eat.
He kept looking at the box and didn't open it right away. Then after dinner, he took it out of the refrigerator and asked me to sit with him. I went to the sofa where he was waiting for me.
I have something important to tell you.
He looked serious. I had no idea what it was about. What's going on? I asked him with a slight mockery. Then he suddenly made an outrageous statement.
I want a divorce.
Divorce?
That's right.
I was astounded to hear the word from him without seeming to be joking. Why? I couldn't help asking him for a reason, which was again unbelievable.
I want to propose to the student who gave me this gift.
What? I had never expected such a situation in a million years. It's not an exaggeration, but it was the biggest surprise of my entire life. What is going on? Are you having an affair with one of your students?
No, I'm not having an affair. I haven't asked her out yet.
I'm confused. What do you mean by proposing to someone you haven't even been in a relationship with?
I want to date her, with marriage in view. To do so, I have to leave you first, right?
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not. I mean, I made up my mind a long time ago. If I get something today and confirm her feelings, I'm going to ask for a divorce.
Who is this student of yours? Is it Kathy, who just joined?
No, she's a college student.
Oh my God. I froze. I froze at the shocking revelation that came out of his mouth. A college student? Are you kidding me?
No, it's true. She's only 21. I don't want to hurt a young girl. That's why I want to propose to her after I get my status sorted.
You're out of your mind.
I'm sorry, but I hope you'll forgive me.
He looked at me with pleading eyes, but I honestly couldn't believe it. Wait, think about it from another perspective. Would such a young girl like her fall for you? She must have plenty of other choices. I can't come up with a possible reason for her to go for you. I hate to say this, but maybe you're mistaken. It wasn't that I didn't want to let him go, but that was my honest feeling.
How could I be mistaken? We were in love with each other.
It could have been just a gesture of appreciation. Shouldn't you make sure? I tried to persuade him, but he didn't budge. On the contrary.
I know how confusing it is to hear this all of a sudden. I sincerely apologize, but I can't back off now. I love her, and I know how she feels. If I don't propose to her, I will regret it. So please, please, I want a divorce."
He insistently begged me. I still couldn't believe it, and instead of giving him an answer, I ended the conversation with, "Let me think about it." He was over 40 and was believing to be in love with a college student, which was too surreal. I had nothing against couples like that. It was just that he was not a popular guy, to say the least. When he was young, there were personality traits that could have been attractive, but he was just a middle-aged man at that point. In any case, I decided to look at the student list and visit the girl without telling him. Since I sometimes helped him out with the admin work, I was sure I would know which girl it was when I saw her face. I thought I would just talk to her for a bit, using the class as an excuse. I was sure that I could tell from the way she talked to me, though it was going to be tough to stop Charles, who's already gone to outer space. A few days later, I went directly to the neighborhood where she lived. I was hoping I would bump into her. When I hung around near her house for a while, she really showed up. There was a boy around her age next to her. When my eyes met hers, I became hesitant for a second. To my relief, she came up to me. "Hi, you are Mrs. Jones, right?" "Oh, hi. Yes, that's right." "Are you visiting your friend in the area?" "Oh, yeah, something like that." "Are you on a date?" "Oh, this is my boyfriend Ken, from the same university. He always compliments my pictures. I'm getting better thanks to Mr. Jones." "Oh, he will be so happy to hear that." "Well, then, nice seeing you, Mrs. Jones." She and her boyfriend smiled at me and left. It became clear that Charles was mistaken. Not only was I relieved to find that out, but my feelings for him suddenly cooled down. It was the right thing to tell him, but I wouldn't have been able to keep my composure if he still denied it and made that serious face again. I decided to pretend not to know anything and just go ahead with the divorce. I never imagined that he would turn out to be such a pathetic old man. While I was on my way home, I thought about telling him that I made up my mind as soon as he returned from work. That night, I told him that I was okay with the divorce. He must have anticipated my cooperation and asked,
"Are you sure about this?"
He looked quite surprised. I tried my best not to show that I couldn't wait to leave him. He was still skeptical.
"I thought it would take longer for you to decide. What changed your mind?"
"I lost my feelings toward you when I saw how serious you are toward such a young girl at your age. You're old enough to be her father, but you want to propose to her without properly confirming her feelings. You are absolutely out of your mind." I told him honestly, hoping that he would realize his mistake.
"It's not unusual for a couple with a big age gap to get married nowadays. And she definitely has feelings for me. I can tell by the way she looks at me. I wish you could see that. By the way, don't hold any grudge against her, okay? I'm not going to let you take revenge on her."
His brain seems to be in the full bloom of flowers. Well, once he confessed his feelings and got crushed by her, he would realize his mistake. I assumed that it would be bothersome to be still married after he was dumped. I wanted to be officially separated first, so I warned him not to tell her anything until we filed for divorce. I felt a little sorry for her, but he wouldn't have listened to anything I said anyway. I counted on her to stand her ground and refuse him. I asked him to let me know what the outcome was. After that, our conversation ceased, and I felt relieved, though I couldn't help but wonder how the girl would react. Of course, there was no doubt that Charles was going to be turned down. I wondered what he would do then. A few weeks later, something far beyond my expectations became reality. One day the police called me to tell me that Charles was in their custody. We already filed for divorce, and I had been living alone in a different place. I still had some of my belongings left, so I was about to go get them when I got the call. We were separated, but I was curious about what happened and decided to go to the police station. When Charles saw me, he looked as if he was going to cry.
"Thank goodness you came. I didn't think it would come to this."
"What's going on? How did you get arrested?"
"Haven't you heard anything from the police?"
"Nothing. They just told me to come in."
"I went to propose to that girl today. It was my day off, so I went to her campus and waited for her. I wanted to surprise her."
At that point, I had a very bad feeling, but I kept quiet and listened to him.
When she saw me, she came running up to me.
"Mr. Jones, what are you doing here?"
I was so happy that she noticed me right away that I almost held her tight in my arms, but I suppressed my feelings and offered her the ring.
"What's this?"
She looked at me with a blank stare. I told her clearly, "I know how you feel about me, so I'm getting a divorce to be with you. I want you to be with me." I could see her blood draining from her face then.
"No way, I never wished for it."
That's what she said. I was so shocked. Looking back on it now, I realize it was crazy behavior. I couldn't keep my cool at the time and confronted her.
"What did you do?"
I asked her why she was lying. It was obvious that she loved me. I knew exactly her feelings, so she didn't need to be afraid. She looked like she was about to cry and said,
"You're making me sick. Please leave."
That's when I finally realized I was wrong, but I felt like I was played by her. I raised my voice, asking her why she had been flirting with me.
"What do you mean, flirting with you? I never did such a thing."
She denied it, so I reminded her about Valentine's gift. Then, she told me it was just a friendly gesture to show her appreciation for the class. I guess I was such a fool.
As he told me the whole story with a tragic tone, I became more and more appalled by him. I thought it was horrid that he not only confessed his feelings for her, but also terrified her. Did she call the police?
No, she was too scared to do anything. We were on our campus, so people who were watching us reported it. That's how I got taken in. She called me a stalker too, but I am not. Today was the first time I went to see her.
He hung his head down in despair. I didn't even want to console him. I knew he was going to be devastated, but who knew he was going to corner her and get arrested by the police? I regretted not telling him about her boyfriend. I didn't expect this to happen, and I felt so bad about it. Even though we were separated, I still thought I owed her an apology. I thought it would have just ended with a broken heart. But I realized at that moment that he was such a crazy person. That realization was shocking, and I was glad that I had already walked out on him. I thought he would have reflected on himself, but he still had the nerve to tell me something inconceivable.
I had been totally carried away by my feelings, even though you stopped me from the beginning. You're the only person who understands me well. I know now that I need you. Please cancel the divorce.
I couldn't help but ask back. Cancel? You're not serious, are you?
I am dead serious. It was a mistake. You knew how things would turn out, so you also knew we'd end up back together again, right?
His irrational thoughts sent goosebumps all over my body. No. It's impossible. I don't feel any affection for you anymore, and there's no way we're getting back together.
It doesn't have to be right now. Let's start over from the beginning.
He was trying to talk me into it, but my feelings for him only grew colder. I can't be with someone who not only got arrested but was also delusional. It's pathetic and scary. No one would have foreseen what he was going to do next. He couldn't comprehend why I was rejecting him.
Why are you pushing me away like that? We've had a good marriage all these years.
He tearfully implored me. We've been able to get along fine because I didn't know you were this crazy. Looking at you now, I can't imagine being with you again. I'm sorry, but now that we are separated, I want to limit our contact. I refused him once and for all. He looked at me in despair, but I still had no sympathy for him. If I hadn't left him back then, I would have been too anxious, thinking about what he would do next, and couldn't have slept at night. I knew I had done the right thing in quickly moving out. I had my lawyer dealing with him from then on, and there was no need for me to be in touch with him. He was released in a short time, but when he returned home, I wasn't there to welcome him back anymore. I packed up all my stuff and had them moved to my new place. Frankly, I never want to see him again. I'm too scared to see him alone. I'm sorry for the girl who was affected, but I think it was a good thing that it happened now. Sooner or later, I would have realized his abnormality. Thank God it wasn't when I became elderly. I can still start my life over and work now. I know it's not going to be easy, but it's mentally a lot better than living with him. I'm planning to go see the girl and apologize to her. After that, I'm going to redesign my life. I strongly hope that Charles has learned his lesson and is smarter not to make the same mistakes again. Well, he was scared to death when he got arrested. I'm sure he himself would not want to do the same again.